Hey guys, welcome to this episode of The Rachel Cruze Show. And I don't know about you guys, but lately, does it seem like everywhere I look, people are acting and living just like these extravagant lives? It feels like, oh my gosh, this is crazy. Did everyone become multimillionaires overnight and I missed it? Like, is everyone going and traveling to Europe? Does everyone have nice kitchens and like fancy cars? Like it feels crazy for some reason recently. And I've talked to some of my friends about it and man, they feel the same way. So if you feel like you're the only one that didn't go to Europe this summer or do something really bougie, trust me, you're not the only one. Now, not to mention, Bank of America found that hardship withdrawals went up last year with some account owners dipping into their retirement funds prematurely. So listen, don't get me wrong. I know that times have been so tough for people financially, and some of you might be watching and be like, are you kidding, Rachel? No, I'm not doing any of that bougie stuff. And listen, I hear that too. But man, it just felt like this overwhelming sense of, golly, it feels like everyone has it together. It feels like everyone else has all this margin when I feel like that's not always the case. But this is why it's important to have a plan for your money. So today's episode is going to be reassuring for some, but maybe a little bit of a wake-up call for others. So listen, it's okay to go through seasons where your budget is tighter than usual. That's what a lot of people are experiencing. But the key is that you don't want to stay that way. You don't want to stay strapped down to a really constrained feeling with your money. And if you feel like you're the only one in your community who's not spending outrageous amounts of money, remodeling a bathroom or taking a trip across the world, you're not the crazy one, okay? And you're probably not the broke one either. So before I start talking into the subject, because there's a lot to talk about, I want to tell you about Telestrations. So Telestrations is a really fun game to play with your friends and family. So I love this game because you have to draw part of it. So think about like old school Pictionary and then think about telephone, right? That game of telephone. Merge them together, and that is Telestration. So if you're not a great drawer like me, it makes the game even that much better. So if you're not an artist, don't be freaked out. The whole thing is so fun. And if your kids know how to read, like our daughter, our oldest, she knows how to read already. So we're together and she can play this game with us, which makes it even better. It's just so fun. So regardless of the age, regardless if it's neighbors, friends, or family, this is a great way to get people together and start making memories. So make sure to get Telestrations at Walmart or anywhere you buy board games. All right, first, let's lay some groundwork because I think we need to have a little come to Jesus moment about comparison culture. We've all heard the phrase, don't try to keep up with the Joneses, but what does it actually look like? Because for me, I know when I'm sitting there scrolling through social media, I'm looking at people's kids and their homes and their vacations, their bougie workout classes, their great hair, their fancy teeth, their nights out for dinner, their organized closets, their makeup hauls. I mean, everything. And the longer I scroll and the more like black holes I get into when it comes to this, sometimes the more just spiraling I become, where I'm like, am I the only one that feels like a hot mess? Or I think, gosh, Winston and I, we have goals for our family, but we don't have the budget to go do it right now, but it feels like everyone's doing everything. And then I was talking to my team the other day about this, and everyone had the exact same feeling. So we started talking about how everyone suddenly is acting like they're Jeff Bezos, and we're stuck thinking we're the crazy ones, and that oh my gosh, we're the ones that aren't going out and buying all this stuff. So let me just speak some truth over you right now. You are not the crazy one, okay? If your brain ever convinces you that being thoughtful and intentional with your money means that you're missing out on something better, trust me, you're not the problem and you're not alone. I mean, apparently there are former Bachelor contestants from the TV show who are cashing out their 401ks to go on the show. Yeah, let's don't do that. No. Or if it's not that extreme, sometimes it's just a general mindset shift that convinces people that they don't have to take responsibility for their circumstances. And I've been hearing people say, well, I can't control the economy, so I might as well just charge the expense and deal with it later because what else am I supposed to do? And yes, there's definitely truth to the fact that you can't control everything, but there are things that you can control. And no matter what, there is a price tag attached to everything. And sometimes we have to say, just not right now, or we have to flat out say, no, I can't do this. And it might sound a little harsh and really tough, but listen, we all need to remember this. And I want to encourage you that it feels like life isn't fair sometimes. And I get it. I hear people's circumstances every single day with my job, and it is hard. But I also want to tell you, we were never meant to keep up with the Joneses because the Joneses have different circumstances. And sometimes, yeah, it sucks, okay? Let's just be real, because if you're comparing yourself to your next door neighbor and it feels like, they got a brand new car in the driveway, or, they have the latest, gadget in the backyard for their kids. Now, there are some factors to consider here, but before I share those, I want to tell you about one of our sponsors, Christian Healthcare Ministries. Guys, I know we're all looking for ways to save, especially on healthcare costs. So do yourself a favor and check out Christian Healthcare Ministries. It's biblically based health cost sharing that could keep your budget under control. Learn more today at chministries.org/budget. Now, the first thing I want you to keep in mind when you're fighting the comparison culture battle is that they actually might have more money than you do, okay? Because sometimes I can be like, oh, they're probably broke and racking up credit card debt to go on that vacation that I want to be on. But there they are. And that's not the right attitude, because the truth is, they may actually have saved up and paid for that, or maybe they make an insane income, and good for them. But also remember, that doesn't necessarily mean that they're genuinely happy or fulfilled, or maybe it does. You never want to pair this idea of, oh gosh, this is probably what's going on with my insecurity, and I'm going to pair it together. Because the truth is that maybe they do have the money for that thing, or maybe they do make a great income, okay? But also remember, that doesn't always equal happiness and fulfillment. Some people think if I just can get to that number, I'm going to be happy and I'm going to be satisfied. And that's not always the case. Money is a magnifying glass. It makes you more of what you already are. So when you're comparing, someone's situation, when you may not know the ins and outs of their life, that's where stuff gets really dangerous, you guys. So we just want to pause, let them live their lives. Sure, take a little glance at the nice vacation on Instagram. We all do that. But then besides that, you have to put the blinders on. And here's the deal too. If you do find yourself where you're like, I don't have that margin to go and do the thing that they're doing, just know that it probably won't be the case forever. So really focus on gratitude and the blessings that you do have in front of you, because that's another thing that you can control is your attitude. Now, another possibility is that they don't have the money and they're affording all of these things by actually losing money and going into debt. So obviously debt is never going to bring you a level of deep peace and contentment, because you're constantly living life outside your means, and it's really, really hard. But whatever, again, that person's explanation may be, it's not your job, again, to know the details. But it's your job to keep things in perspective so that you can continue pursuing your money goals. Now, another complaint that I hear all the time is that it's unfair that the millennial generation is having to wait so long to buy a house, or how much money people are having to pay for their first house when their parents bought their house for like $10,000, which I know isn't the case, but that's what it feels like. So again, once you can't compare apples to apples. We live in a different world in 2023. And I'll be honest, there is actually more income opportunity. There's more businesses to start because of technology and all of this. There are things that we have in 2023 that our parents and our grandparents didn't have. Now, does the real estate market suck right now? Yeah, sure. And is it really expensive to buy a house right now? Absolutely. But also remember, other generations faced hardships that we may not have to ever experience. So my point is that there always is going to be inconsistencies to pick apart. So instead, channel all your energy into your circumstances in the here and now, because that's the reality. We can't go and change the past. We can't get in a time machine and go back and buy a house in the 1950s. We can't. But what we can compare now is what we're doing today with our money situation and how it's going to affect us down the road. So that's one reason the baby steps is so key. You guys, getting out of debt, getting an emergency fund in place, looking at retirement, doing all of these things in order in the Ramsey baby steps is so, so key. And then saving up and paying for stuff. It is hard. The down payment that you're going to have to save for to pay for a house this year is much larger than in 2019 or in 2008 if you bought at the bottom, right? I mean, all of that, all these factors are in play, but putting a little money aside month to month is going to help you get closer to your goal. And those tactical action steps make such an impact for your future. And the power of a mindset shift will transform your present as well. So be patient as you work the baby steps and know that your time is going to come. And you'll get to spend more money when you actually have it, and that takes time. And in the meantime, keep in mind that comparison culture is not real life. It sounds really cheesy, but everyone really is fighting a battle that we can't see. So don't compare the details of your reality with a tiny little shred of their life that you see on social media on a highlight reel. Slow and steady wins the race. So when it comes to being and staying broke, Don't be part of the majority. Take it one day at a time. In the next coming weeks and months and years, you'll be amazed at how far you come. And if you're realizing that it's time to make some changes when it comes to your money, I would really encourage you to check out Financial Peace University on RamseySolutions.com. So FPU is our 9-lesson course that teaches people from all walks of life how to build wealth the right way. And make sure to send this video to a friend who needs a comparison culture reality check, because I think we all do. And remember to take control of your money and create a life you love.